Hello and welcome to BotXO's tutorial on integrating with Zendesk. My name is Kevin, I'll be your host today, and I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know to connect your chatbot to Zendesk. Let's get started. So before we go over the actual connection procedure, what we're going to need to do is check off a few pre-requirements in Zendesk Support. So first of all, we need to make sure that you are using a Zendesk Chat Enterprise subscription. You should be able to check that in your admin center. If you do not have an enterprise level subscription, you will not be able to initiate the connection. The next thing we need to make sure is that you have your agents set up correctly. So, for all of this to work, especially the live chat handover, you will need one agent seat allocated to the chatbot and one agent seat for a human agent. In most cases, of course, you'll have many more than one. But let's go in here and check the specific settings that you need to have for your chatbot. So it needs to be an administrator and it needs to have Zendesk Chat enabled. Once you've ensured that that's the case, we're going to navigate over to Zendesk Chat to make sure that our departments are set up correctly. So if we go into settings here, in departments, you'll see that we've already created a few departments here. So we have the chatbot department, the human agent department, and the support department. For this testing, we'll only be using the top two ones. And you can see that both of them are enabled for Zendesk Chat. This is important, otherwise they won't be able to be used. One thing you need to note here is that the department names cannot contain spaces for our handover to work. So please make sure that your department names, if they do contain a space, that you convert them to an underscore instead. Once that's done, we can take a look at actually integrating your chatbot with Zendesk. So I'm just going to log into this account here. You can see that I have a conveniently located chatbot with just a couple of modules here. So just a starting module and a greeting module. And then what we're going to do is we're going to navigate over to bot settings. And in bot settings, under channels, we'll find Zendesk. In here, you'll need to fill in your Zendesk subdomain. Now that's the first part of this URL here. So we'll just copy paste this into here. And once we hit connect with Zendesk, we're going to be met with this pop-up here. And we'll just click allow. Now you see within a few seconds, the chatbot connects and we've achieved a successful connection to Zendesk. Before we can use the bot in the actual Zendesk environment though, we'll need to save the changes and publish them. But once that's done, we should be able to test whether the connection is successful. In order to do that, we can navigate into visitors and simulate a chat. Now once the chat icon pops up, we can write something here. We'll write hello. And you'll see the chatbot joins with the message hello there. And that is it. You've now connected your chatbot to Zendesk. Next, we'll be taking a look at handing over the chat to an agent in Zendesk. First, we'll need to navigate into the webhook builder, where we're going to create a webhook from a template. So we'll scroll down, and the first webhook we'll need to use is Zendesk Chat Agent Availability, which checks whether an agent is available in a specific department in Zendesk. Under this params, we'll check Zendesk department, and in here, we'll need to fill in the department that we've specified in our Zendesk Chat setup. Keep in mind that it has to match perfectly. So we'll put in human underscore agent. We'll save this webhook. And we'll need to create one more webhook from our Zendesk Chat handover to agent webhook template. In this one, we'll fill in the same department as we did in the previous one, which is human underscore agent. And we'll save the webhook. Next, we'll need to navigate back to the chatbot in order to construct a handover flow. So by editing our greeting message, we can put in, what can I do for you? To which the user can respond with something like contact support. Then we'll create a connection saying that if the user's response to this module contains contact support, we're going to be firing the availability webhook. And we're going to put in another action which makes the flow go to another module. This module will evaluate the response of the webhook. So in here, check availability. We don't need any message since we're just evaluating the response from the webhook, but we are going to put in a number of connections. The first one is going to be if custom variable, and then here you want to put in the name of your department, which in our case is human_agent, followed by underscore availability. In this matcher, you want to select exactly match, and the value is going to be true. Keep in mind that it's a capitalized T. Next, we'll need to make a go-to connection, which we're going to route to a different module, and this module will be called agent available, since this is where the human agent availability is true. And we'll make another connection, which will work in the exact same way, but in this case, we're going to, instead of saying true, we're going to say false. So in case there are no agents available, we want to route the users to this module, which will specify that there are no agents available. Since we're not evaluating the user response in this specific module, we're going to tick this box here, which will ensure that the module just evaluates the connections. Now we're going to change the messages a bit so they make more sense. So in this case, an agent is available. So we're going to specify to the user that an agent is available. Do you want me to hand over the chat? And if they say yes, what we're going to do is we're going to create a connection that fires the handover webhook. So here we'll select webhook. We'll put in send as chat, handover to agent. And then we're going to put in another action, which is go to. And then this should be handover successful. We'll hit OK here. And let's edit the message in handover successful. This would be, you have now been handed over. And in no agents available, we'll write another message which goes along the lines of no agents are available at this time, and hit OK. And then we're going to save changes. We're going to publish. And then we should be able to test the flow under the visitors tab here and hit simulate chat. Once this pops up, of course, keep in mind that you will need to have the human agent available, otherwise the transfer will never be successful. Once this pops up, you hit chat, and you just write any message to the chatbot, and it joins the chat, and it gives you the appropriate message. You see now here that we're receiving this new suggested reply that we're going to click on. So it seems the webhook is returning that an agent is available, which is why we're being printed this message. So we're going to say yes, which will fire the handover webhook. And I'll be showing you how that looks in my incognito tab that I have running in the background with the human agent logged in. You see here that I have a chat up here. So we'll hit accept. And we'll see the chat here. Now, I can respond from this user to the end user, and they'll see it in the chat. There you go. And that's how you initiate a handover from BotXO to Zendesk. Next, what we're going to be taking a look at is creating a ticket in Zendesk Support in case no agents are available. So in order to do this, we need to navigate to the webhook builder once again and create a webhook from a template. You'll find the Zendesk Support Create Ticket webhook template here. In this webhook, we need to fill in some authentication information, specifically the login of the chatbot agent in Zendesk, which in this case is chatbot@botxo.co, and this password. Then we'll need to fill in the Zendesk subdomain, which in this case is BotXO test. And then we'll need to edit the body of the webhook. In this case, we have the standard webhook body, which is provided by the webhook template, but we're going to make some changes to this one. So in this case, we're going to change the name. We're going to hard code that to being mine. We're going to change the email. It's also going to be mine. And we're going to change the subject. And this will be something along the lines of ticket from Chatbot. And then what we can do to finish it off is change the body of the webhook. So in this case, what we can do is we can include a message from the end user. So what it will do in this case is we'll use the variable user_message. So we'll save this webhook, and then we need to make some changes inside the chatbot itself. So we'll navigate back to the bot here. And following up from the flow that we defined in the previous segment, we'll add some more information here. So no agents are available, which means that for whatever reason, the department human agent was, it didn't have any agents available at that specific time. So in those cases, what we can do is we can offer the end user the possibility of creating a support ticket directly from the chatbot. So what we'll write here is, do you want me to create a support ticket? And if they say yes, we're going to lead them to a next module. Create one here. We can call create ticket. We'll hit OK here. And then in this one, we'll write what the user wants to say. So I guess a good message here would be something along the lines of, what message do you want to send to customer support? And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a set variable connection. So we remove the condition from this connection, and then we select set variable. And then we're going to put in the exact same variable that we put into the webhook body, which is user message. And then the value of this variable is going to be whatever the end user replies to this specific module. After this, we can put in a go-to connection. And this go-to connection will go to a module that actually fires the create ticket webhook. So we'll go down to this next module here. And what we're going to do is go into connections, and we're going to add the webhook that we defined earlier. So Zendesk Support create ticket. Next, we'll route to another module. In this case, it'll just be create ticket successful. And in this specific module, we're not evaluating the user response, so we're going to tick this tick box here. So once the created ticket is successfully completed, we're going to write a message here saying that it's been sent. So message sent. And then what we're going to do is we're going to save and publish. Now that we've published, we can simulate a chat again and test whether our changes were successful. So we'll hit chat here, and then what we'll need to do is I'll need to change the status of the human agent so that no one is available. So I'll do that now. You can see the human agent is no longer green, which means that the specific department is not available. So now we'll try to talk to the chatbot. We'll try to contact support. But in this case, what's going to happen is it's going to say that no agents are available because we took the human agent offline. So instead, it'll create a support ticket. So here we'll say yes. And then it asks us for a message to put in. In this case, I'm going to say my printer is on fire. Help. So now it's going to send the webhook, and you see that it's sent. So we're going to close this window, and then we're going to navigate into our Zendesk Support view. And you see that we now have a message from this specific conversation. You see the subject, this ticket from Chatbot. My printer's on fire is the user message variable that we put inside the webhook. And all the requester information is exactly as we put it into the webhook. So now that we've created a baseline for how this create ticket webhook is supposed to be configured, we can make some changes. In order to make these changes, I advise visiting this specific article on our Help Center, which is creating a ticket inside Zendesk Support. It's written by me, so it won't hurt if we plagiarize it just a little bit. So here we'll steal this line, which will allow us to set some tags for the specific ticket submission, and we'll copy these into the webhook body. We'll expand the body here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to add another line, which is going to be the one that we copied. In this specific case, we can set a specific tag. So we'll set ticket from BotXO. For the purposes of this test, what we can do is we can hard code this specific value down here so we don't need to test it in an actual conversation. So instead of putting in the variable, I'm just going to write hello. I'm going to save this webhook. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the run button down here, which allows us to fire the webhook from the webhook builder. As you see, we achieve a successful response, and we even get the ticket ID down here. I'll navigate into the Zendesk Support platform and look at the dashboard. I'll refresh, and we should have a new ticket submission. You can see here we have a new ticket, but what's different about this one is that we've set a tag. And what's nice about these fields that you can include in the webhook is that you can make them dynamic, either hard coding certain values to the variable throughout the conversation, which could pertain to what the user has been asking about, which might be relevant to your Zendesk Support agents, or simply using the user response. What we're going to be looking into next is adding some custom fields. So again, we navigate into this article, and we're going to scroll down to custom fields. And you see here that we have a nice convenient line that we can copy. We're going to add this to the body, but keep in mind here that you'll need to change the ID that's included by default. For this case, we can include a new ticket field in this Zendesk environment. So let's add a field. In this one, we'll add a text one, and we'll call it order number. Keep in mind that you have to make it editable for end users. Otherwise, they will not be able to fill in this information. And then we'll save it. Now you'll need to copy this field ID because we're going to be including it in the ticket submission. So we'll change this value here. And instead of reset password, we're going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is going to act as the order number that the user has input. So we're going to save this webhook. And then we're going to make sure that everything's saved over here. It looks to be saved. And then we're going to fire it. You see here that we have a successful submission, and you even see that the custom fields has been set correctly. Now when we navigate into the dashboard and we hit refresh, we should see another ticket submission. I click on this, and then you can see that the order number is included over here. This has a lot of versatility, and it enables a lot more efficient response from your agents because they already have whatever information they need available. So there's no need to ask the end user again information that's already been picked up through the chatbot itself. Now, other than this, there's a number of other fields that you can append to the request, such as the ticket form and others. You can navigate into the webhook description, and you can find a link to the Zendesk documentation, which should allow you to append a number of other fields that are not included in this specific article. And that's all you need to know when creating a ticket in Zendesk Support. Next, we're going to take a look at displaying articles from your Zendesk knowledge base. This is often used as a fallback when the chatbot is unable to answer the user's question. To start, let's navigate into the webhook builder. And here we'll create a webhook from a template. For this specific case, we have two separate webhook templates. One of them will render the result as text and links, and the other one will render the result as cards. To start, let's take the one with text and links. And in here, you'll need to fill in the credentials of your Zendesk support agent. Next, we need to map the query to a specific variable. What I'm going to be using is BotXO.reply, which will automatically fetch whatever the end user's latest response is. But you can, of course, map this to a specific variable if you so wish. Next, we'll need to put in the Zendesk subdomain, which in our case is BotXO test, and then save the webhook. As you can see in this webhook, we have 3 custom variables that are automatically generated from the response. One will be the title. The next is the snippet, and then of course the URL. So in order to display these, we need to navigate back into the chatbot and assign a flow that will allow us to search the Help Center. So in the greeting module here, we can offer the user another option. This one would be Search Help Center. And if they say Search Help Center, we're going to route them to a new module. And in this new module here, we are going to ask them for what they want to search for. And then we're going to fire the webhook. Next, we'll need to perform another action, which is going to the next module, which will actually display the results of the webhook. But before we can do that, we need to save our changes and refresh the page. We refresh the page because the custom variables that were just added as a part of this webhook that we implemented are only available after refreshing. That means that when we go into custom variable, we're now going to have the custom variables available that I listed in the webhook template. So HTML, URL, snippet, and title. So we'll start out by putting in the title. We'll put in the snippet. And then we're going to put in the HTML URL. We'll press OK here. I'll save changes, and then we can test the bot. Then here we'll click Search Help Center, and we'll search for article. In this case, I have some standard default articles that came along with the Zendesk Guide trial. So it just renders this specific article. Of course, you can choose to include any number of those custom variables that you would like. If you include, for example, only the title, it will only include this. But generally, people tend to use all three. Next, we are going to take a look at the other webhook template. So this is the one that renders the result as cards. And cards are a nice little visual way of displaying the results. It's also the most widely used. So we'll put in our credentials once again. And in the query, we're going to map it to BotXO.reply. Send a subdomain is the same. And you can see down here that we generate 2 custom variables as opposed to the 3 in the other one. So this one actually gives us a result that we can render as a card. And the other one simply tells us how many results have been found. So we'll save the webhook here. And we'll navigate back to the chatbot. And instead of using the other webhook here, we're just going to replace it with the new one. Show us cards. And then we're going to save and refresh. So then we have the custom variables available. So in display results, we're going to remove all this. And instead, we're going to put in Zendesk results cards. But in order to make it render as a card, we also need to type in type equals carousel. This will render the result as cards. This is also easily copyable from the webhook template. If you go into show us cards, you can see that it's also found here. So feel free to copy it from here. Next, let's play around with the other custom variable generated, which is the one that checks how many results are returned. So let's remove this connection and we'll add the webhook again. And then we're going to add another connection. And now we're going to make a custom variable connection, which checks Zendesk results amount. And in this one, we'll say greater than 0. So in case the result is greater than 0, we're going to go to the module that displays the result. If it's equals 0, we'll just make a fallback here. And in this one, we'll route them to a no results module. Okay. And in this one, we'll write a little message here. Afraid no results were found. And we'll save our changes here. So let's test. Let's click Search Help Center. And in this case, we'll write something that we know it will find. And you'll see here that the results are actually displayed as cards. This is a nice little visual thing. Let's try again. In this case, we're going to put in something that it likely is not going to find a result for. So we'll just put in some gibberish. And then you'll see it fires the webhook, but it doesn't return any it doesn't return any articles. So we're routed to the no results module. Of course, you can also keep this going in the background, so the user never knows that you're searching the help center, and in which case, if no results are found, you don't even try to display the result. So there's a number of changes that we can perform other than the ones I've just performed, and those can be performed here in custom variables. So this is a great way to change both the look and the content of what's being rendered. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to copy this syntax here, and you're going to add it here as a new custom variable. And in custom variable name, we're going to put in Zendesk results cards new. So we're going to create a new custom variable. And right now it contains the same information as what's up here. However, we can change this. So this line, for example, pertains to how many results we want to display. So let's say, for example, that we only want to display max 2 cards because otherwise it might become, less accurate. And what we can also do is we can change the image that is passed along with the card. Let me just make sure changes are saved here. And then I'll go out here and I'll take this image of the chatbot here. So I'm going to replace it with this one. And then another thing that we can change is the title of the card. So this is really nice to change in case you are using a language other than English. So for example, I can put in Danish the equivalent of read more, which is lees mere. And then we'll save the webhook. So let's navigate back to the builder. And in display results, we'll put in, instead of the current one, we're going to put in Zendesk result cards new, which is the new custom variable that we just made. So we'll save our changes here. And then we'll test the flow. Search Help Center. Again, we're going to find something that we know is going to return results. And now you can see that the image has changed and the text is now Danish down here. And that is how you implement the ability to display articles from your Zendesk Help Center. In the previous segment, I displayed the use of BotXO.reply, which is what we refer to as a reserved variable. In this segment, I'll be giving you an overview of all the reserved variables available for the Zendesk channel, as well as how to utilize them. Before we can utilize them, let's learn a little bit more about them. What are reserved variables? Reserved variables are pieces of information that are automatically generated with every single conversation. The information inside these variables return values relating to the end user. So for example, it can return whatever display name the user has set in the pre-chat form on Zendesk. It can also return the user's email, or perhaps which platform they're using. Are they browsing from a mobile device? All of this information is available for you to change the way your flow works individually for that user. So that means if you'd like to route people who use a specific device to a certain module, you could do that. But you can do that for every single reserved variable here, since you can use them all in the connections of a module. Now let's jump into the platform and see how these work in practice. So we'll navigate first into the webhook builder. And we do this because we have to create a webhook from one of our webhook templates. In this specific case, it's BotXO custom meta variable creator. And this webhook, what it does is it takes these reserved variables, which are not quite custom variables, and it turns them into custom variables. So the purpose of doing this means that we can use them in bot messages. If we don't do this, then we will only be able to use them in connections. So this is good for cases where you want to use the user's display name in a bot message, for example. So we'll save the webhook here, and we'll go back to the builder, and we'll go to the bot here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to implement the webhook in the starting module. So here, we'll press OK. We'll save the bot. And then we're going to refresh the page. Now, in the greeting module, we're going to change this to hello. And then we're going to choose one of the custom variables that are automatically generated from using the meta variable creator webhook template. In this case, we can use ZD display name, which is usually the first and the last name of the user. So we'll press OK, we'll save and publish. And then what we're going to do is we're going to simulate a conversation in Zendesk. So here we'll go into visitors, we'll hit simulate chat. And once the chat pops up, we'll click on it. You can see here my information is filled in the pre-chat form. And we'll write some kind of message. You'll see here that the message that pops up from the chatbot uses the name that I've input into the pre-chat form. That's because we're using the custom variable that we generated using the webhook, which uses the reserved variable value. So let's end this chat, and then let's navigate into the bot to see how else this can be applied. Now we saw that in the URL of the simulate window, it has a specific URL. So that means what we can do is we can navigate into the starting module, for example. And then after the webhook has been fired, we're going to add another connection. And then we're going to go if custom variable. Then we can actually, in here in connection, we can actually use how it's structured in here. So that means we can simply copy paste in. So we'll just copy this. And we'll go into the custom variable and we'll create this option here. And what we're going to do is we're going to say contains, and then we'll write simulate, because in this case, the window that we use to simulate a conversation contains the word simulate. And in cases where this specific URL or this specific word inside a URL is used, we're going to route the user to a specific module. And you can use this for absolutely everything. So that means if a user, for example, is already browsing your returns page, you could technically have the chatbot start at a module relating to them wanting to return a product. In this case, we'll just be focusing on using this word though. So here, go to simulate detected. And then down here, we'll write something pertaining to this. So you're browsing from a simulated visitor chat. Now that's done, we're going to save changes and we're going to publish them. And then what we're going to do is we're going to navigate into the dashboard here and we're going to simulate another chat. You see here up here that the window contains simulate. And then we'll write hello. And then what should happen is we arrive at the module that says we're browsing from a simulated visitor chat. And there's a ton of ways in which you can implement this, but these are just the more basic ones. Of course, you can have a look at this long list of reserved variables and determine what fits best for your use case. But I think without a doubt that every single person or company that chooses to use the Zendesk channel should definitely take use of these reserved variables because they can provide a tremendous amount of value for your product. All right, that's it for reserved variables. Thanks for watching. In case you guys have any notes on what we should cover in the future, please do leave a comment or contact us via our support channels, support@BotXO.Zendesk.com. And yeah, thank you.